Oh man. Wow. And that was tough trying to get this going over here. I've been truly on the back end of this program, just trying to figure out how to get this thing going. I'm using a different system than I normally use, which is Restream, or actually StreamYard. Now I'm using Restream, which I've had for a while. I just haven't used it, and everything's kind of like blocking up, backing up in the system. Uh, and I'm getting pretty good internet too. So, well, hey, welcome to the Safety Consultant live streaming, which I'm calling the OSHA Compliance Help live streaming. So it looks like I'm back. I've got some. I got so you could hear me, you could see me now. So this is good. This is something I wasn't sure was going to happen there. So I'm glad I got it. I'm going to do this real quick because this week I'm going to do it on Monday instead of Tuesday and Thursday. And I might do it again later on this week, but I just wanted to do a nice little quick overview of what we have regarding this new OSHA standard that just went out, the new guidance. So like always, if you have any questions or anything, put that in the chat box for me, and I'll be able to answer your questions. So if you do have those things, just throw it into the chat box, and I will answer your questions live. If not, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go specifically in over this guidance. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to share my screen, and the screen is going to be on OSHA.gov, and this one is going to be specifically. I just want to go over what my initial thoughts is on this new guidance from OSHA for its workers. So this is OSHA's new guidance. All right, so it's going to share, and I'm going to pretty much just not read it word for word, obviously, but I'm just going to go over a few things. The executive summary basically tells you a lot about what it's looking to do. So the intended purpose of this is to truly have OSHA start giving you some guidelines that is going to start giving some stronger wording than they had before. They do had interim guidance for other areas, and they talked about healthcare specifically first, and then they branched out to other industries and just gave like guidance from their view with the CDC's view, and that's what OSHA currently has. This is now going to be the precursor to what will be a standard, like an emergency temporary standard, like Virginia just did. Oh, federal OSHA will be doing that soon. So one of the things that I really wanted to point out at you and let you see what you're going to be in, I would say, in the future, very near future, as in they have until March 15th to figure this thing out. So up to March 15th, if they do not figure this thing out, then they are going to pretty much not be able to, OSHA's not going to be compliant, if you will, with one of the regulations that they are. It's going to be a Biden administration order, and it's an executive order that OSHA is trying to fulfill. So that's pretty much the way to put it. So I just want to make sure that I'm saying that one correctly. So this is the guidance. I'm going to truly show you guys what to look for. all the workers in your workplace are free from any recognized hazards. So that's what OSHA is going to tell you that you're going to truly, truly, truly need to do. So you want to make sure that you're going to keep your workplace free from any recognized hazards. So that is the 5A1 violation that you would get if that's the case. So OSHA is starting out with that one. So as you work your way down, you'll see the roles of employers and workers. And when they're talking about hazard assessment, they want to make sure that you're going to use the hierarchy of controls, eliminate the hazard first. It's going to cause the SARS coronavirus 2 to spread that could cause the COVID-19. And then also it's saying if you have a worker that has higher risk or in a higher risk category, then you want to make sure that you will take care of them, especially if they can't wear a respirator. So you need to do reasonable accommodation. And OSHA tells you that one of those things can be, if feasible, to put them into a less densely populated area, or you might end up getting them a face mask or a face covering that has that plastic shield over it where it's not it's a face shield, if you will, as opposed to having it's a mouth and nose shield. It's not the full face shield. I've seen a few of those around. So in this wording, OSHA does mention that. So that's good that they actually put in some provisions in there for that. A system for communicating effectively workers and in their language. So you want to communicate your plan and you want to tell the workers in their language. Here's the education of COVID-19 and here's the procedures regarding what we do for reduction of the spread of the SARS coronavirus 2. And then that's how OSHA breaks that element down. And then generally they want to make sure that whatever language and understanding of the worker that you're going to do. So they put that wording in here. Again, OSHA's been doing that quite a bit. Instruct your workers who are infected or potentially infected to stay home and isolate or quarantine. So here is where people might say, if it is the person staying at home and they're staying at home, does this mean that it is going to be necessarily a record-keeping issue? And it will not be a record-keeping issue until the person has a diagnosis of COVID-19. And if you are now telling them to stay home, which is not a precautionary measure, then that's where we're going to see it's possible that you're going to get into record keeping for isolation. And that's per CDC's guidance. I really want to see how OSHA goes with this angle. So I can't tell you specifically if this is the way they're going to do it, but I would imagine they'll have to have a diagnosis first and then being called to stay at home after this diagnosis, as opposed to contact tracing and saying that you have been exposed to someone who has the virus, so we're asking you to stay home for contact tracing purposes, which is precautionary measures. So OSHA is going to probably delineate precautionary measures versus having to stay home because you have the actual COVID-19. The thing is you could be asymptomatic at the workplace with the actual SARS coronavirus 2. So therefore, if you're being made to stay home because of contact tracing purposes, you could be a spreader of the virus. Does then this count that you have it? And therefore, OSHA is telling you, or should say the employer is going to tell the person to stay home, which will trigger the first part of the definition for seeing if it's a recordable event is this person experiencing injury or illness that is putting them in an abnormal condition? So we don't know yet. So that's going to be really interesting to find out how OSHA is going to interpret that one. I'm kind of curious to see what that is. They're also asking that the employer minimize the negative impact of quarantine and isolation on workers. We in the States don't have the quarantine hotels like we should. So therefore, people are going to probably be quarantining at home, but they're going to need someone in some cases to take care of them for that time. So that means they're missing work and a spouse or a caretaker also. So how are you going to minimize that impact? Then you're going to look at the Family First Coronavirus Response Act. And once you go through that, that is truly how you're going to really start this out. Man, my board over here is going crazy. Disinfecting, and that's one of the things they talk about. So performing disinfection, truly that's there only if you have cases that you believe reasonably that there is some sort of outbreak or possible. So you're going to clean the area as much. OSHA does require that if there is an outbreak that you let them know. And then they did add a few different things. One, again, I told you record keeping. That's a consistent. The vaccine, making the COVID-19 vaccine or vaccination series available at no cost to all eligible employees. So now OSHA's adding that to the employer's plate. That's, how is that going to be done? Depending on states, it really depends on how you do that. For me, I'm in Florida, so I'm going to interpret that as you're allowing your employees to go to places that have the vaccine site, and you're going to either pay them the regular time to be there, or you might find a way to apply where you could have your own little vaccine site for your workers, meaning mobile or whatever. That capability may not be here yet, especially in Florida. But President Biden's talking about getting FEMA involved. So there might be FEMA sites that will come up in different states and then making this available. So truly, it's going to be, I'm not too sure how they're going to do this. However, again, this is a prelude to an emergency standard that may be coming as soon as March 15th. So you really have to keep an eye on this one. And then the thing that's going to come in after this is going to be the compliance letter to show all the compliance and safety and health officers how to regulate this thing. So if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put that in the chat box. I'll read them as quickly as I can. I'm only going to be on for a few more minutes because I do have another engagement. So I want to get to you guys before I do my other engagement. The bottom half of this standard is really just telling you about best practices, but they also are including ventilation, which is a big best practice because it's an engineering control. So OSHA included this, and they mentioned about making sure there's a proper ventilation in whatever working area you're at, just some fresh air flowing through, which is really good to have. PPE when necessary, and if you're doing that, you're going to have to follow, especially in general industry, your PPE hazard control, where you're matching the right PPE for the right hazard. And then they talk about cleaning and good hygiene in here and routine cleaning. So there's a few things that you're really going to have to be aware of because of the standard. So I would say go to OSHA.gov, really look at the standard, and you want to make sure that you're going to keep your mind open as to how are you best going to protect your employees, especially as the safety and health officer, who I'm imagining is the person listening to this live stream right now. And then the other thing that you're going to have to think about is, how am I best going to prepare for the future? March 15th is the deadline for OSHA to come with a temporary emergency action plan, or should say temporary emergency standard for COVID-19, if it's determined through OSHA that, yes, we need this thing, which they will. They'll come to that determination because the states are already coming to that determination. So, all right, that's about all the time I have today. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to move on. If you are looking for an online class, I am doing one which is revealing the secrets to OSHA compliance from the mind and the eyes of an active safety consultant. So go to sheldonprimus.com/events. You can register for that. Right now, open registration is up. If you're planning on being a consultant, then go ahead and check out safetyconsultant.tv. That is the easiest way for you to learn the business of being a safety consultant. I take you step by step by step on being a safety consultant, and there is downloadable material for you. So it's not only video lessons, but you're getting downloadable material. And you can watch this on Apple iTunes. You will download the app on iTunes. You can download the app on Apple TV, on Roku, any way Android devices. You could be able to take your lessons that you may have started on your home computer or at work, go to your TV at home, and then pick it up on your Apple TV or pick it up on your Roku and finish up where you left off. So that is going to be safetyconsultant.tv. So check it out there. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Thank you. And hopefully I gave you a little things to think about for the new guidance. It's not a standard yet, so I'm not going to use that phrase, but just the new guidance for COVID-19 from OSHA. If you're in Virginia, you already got yourself a state plan. So use that state plan. In California, they already had a plan for airborne diseases, which was many, many, many years ago. But anyway, thanks for listening. And I don't have a closing one like I did before because I'm using a different system. I'm not using the StreamYard system as I did. So hopefully that's gonna I'll work on getting my act together on my outro and intro. So either way, listen to the podcast. I got a new one out today. Wherever you listen to podcasts, just go ahead and type in Safety Consultant with Sheldon Primus, and you can listen to the new podcast that I have about starting your safety consulting business today. I really believe this. This is the time. Your time is now. All right. Thanks a lot. Go get them.